Welcome back to the Brand Doctors. I think this is number 7 or something like that.
I just don't know why you're doing that voice. I just don't know why that voice happens only on this show. I see it nowhere else on your content. It's kind of weird, but I
Welcome.
like it. I like it.
It's a unique thing because my other shows don't need the podcaster voice, but I figured here let's spice things up.
It's interesting. All right, let's do it. What are we doing here? Well, it's
I
good
like
to
how
see
you're
you.
rushing me, but then it's good to see you too. But then you're like, let's go, let's go. You're also the co-host, bro. You can tell me what to do too. This
Um,
is a mutual thing.
uh, no. You've got this. I'm good. I'm good.
Well, I think today we were just talking about just kind of catching up and going into the rabbit holes like we normally do.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I was also talking about, I think I was saying update on goals and what I'm using, but yeah, I guess it's all tools.
What are you using?
I mean, come on, give me a little bit more detail than that.
No, because at this point you were using a lot of different things. You're using tools, using services, coaches.
All
So
right.
at this point, I'm going generic and saying, what are you using?
All right, let's go with it. So, first of all, I just signed up for it, and then you dash my dreams just because you're in this kind of mood right now. I signed up for Clipflow. They're guys I know, and they just were like, "Can you please try this out?" I was like, "Okay, cool." It's interesting. You want me to share my screen and just rapid fire everything?
Sure, why not?
All right, hold on one
It's gonna make it
second.
annoying to edit, but I'll do it for you.
Look at this. What? It adds more layers to your show. What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Your
Uh,
show. It's our show. Our
Hold on.
show.
This is
Oh,
true. This
fix
is,
your words there. Fix your words there.
it's your show. So I'm guest starring long term on one show. Okay, so right now we're using Clipflow. Basically, it allows you to organize your structure of what you're doing with a video production. When I first saw them and I told them, I said, I think this is better for teams versus solo. If I'm doing everything, I can just structure everything in my Notion doc. I don't really think, or even how well, like,
Vortex.
yeah,
Vortex would be a good one as well.
I was like, I just don't see it for me. And then, like, 6 weeks later, I actually have so many freelancers. I was like, oh, crap. Like, I need something. And I totally forgot about this tool until they messaged me.
Hmm.
It's okay. I still need to get into it and really build it out. You know, the
Using
main,
schedule.
let's say it again.
The schedule.
Schedule, I think it's more like a Kanban. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone can
Vertical.
see it. Yeah. It's interesting. Again, I'm still working on my workflow, setting it up. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, this is good. You can do all of these things in any other tool, right? Market plan, all of those things. I,
Obsidian's what I'm doing too.
I think the advantage, and I was going to message you back about this, is if there
No,
is
you
a
weren't.
creator, I knew I was going to see you today, so it didn't really matter. The the reason I think some creators would use this over like Obsidian or Notion, for creators that are buying templates or do not understand how to structure these different platforms, they would just spend money on this to just use it versus any of the other things that I would be
The
looking at.
pricing seems very on point. It seems like too.
Yeah, it's not anything crazy. 9 a month, 29 for a team, and then I
It's
just look at
29
the
is a little
value.
high, I guess, considering the value prop. But if you have at least 3 or 4 freelancers, then 29 is probably pretty good.
Yeah, and right now I'm on WhatsApp and Slack. It's all over the place. I'm also using Spotter Studio to test it out. This one I feel like, and I told them, I said the competition is similar, but their value prop is different. This is more of a planning tool into structure. I think Spotter is really going after the all-in-one, which I feel is a problem anyway because it's
Yeah, there's
not
other people
going to.
doing it.
Yeah, and it's not an all like.
You
Let's
bring up
take a look.
Cortex too after this.
Is it put it in the chat so I know how to
I think
spell
it's
it?
KORTEX.co.
Really? Hold on one second.
I showed it to you the other day, but Cortex is an alternative to Notion, but for solo creators. So it's kind of,
Oh yeah.
I figured since Clipflow has that solo creator plan, we should bring it up because it is technically competition.
Right here.
Yeah.
That's right. I got distracted. I got really mad when
Hmm.
I had to jump through the hoops to get this in beta.
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean,
still
they
mad
were
about that.
it's no, it's still pretty early on. Like remember, this is my niche, right? Knowledge management tools like this, and even I had to jump through some hoops to get access.
Makes me
So,
mad. But no, I'll try it again. I remember when you mentioned that. Yeah, I did like it. This one I will say, I think I've already, have we talked about this? Have we demoed
yeah,
this at all?
yeah, we
Yeah, right.
demoed it.
It's not bad. I was telling you the UI UX of like
The
creating
flow
things.
is just really off.
Yeah. But I will say this with Sabrina, my wife who does like some of my thumbnails,
Mm.
me having mock-ups of what I want instead of us, like I'm like, here's this thumbnail. I want it this way. We have been in many arguments because she's like, I don't feel like doing this anyway. Um, and you know, I just complain until she just does it. But
Of course.
this has been less stress on our relationship by me by doing this because I'm like, here's the three examples, and I can show it to you later. But I'm like, here's my three examples. I need you to create it exactly like this. And then she's like, yeah, great. So she'll make it, and we're good to go. Let's see. Yes, please get out of my face.
I'm wondering
Uh,
if you need to start doing more orange.
well, yeah. Now I have the two orange. I know, right? It's not
It's
bad.
growing on me.
It's not bad. Where is it? Anyway, I'll show you the end one. I'll show you the Slack conversation that we had. You know what? No. Well, this goes into my next one. So then I've been using vidIQ. I've been using vidIQ for two different things. I have always been a TubeBuddy fan instead,
Hmm.
mainly because Roberto
Interface is better.
Blake and better, yeah, those two. But because of what they did with their affiliates
Yeah.
this
Well, and
year,
their staff too. Remember they laid off like 40% of their staff.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not really a,
What about Social Blade?
you know, that's funny. I only use it for stats, right?
There's also
Um,
View Stats. Like I know that there's View Stats and Tube Spanner. Tube Spanner has been very on the
yeah, you
rise.
mean Nick's one that he's been talking
Yeah.
about for years, right? Isn't he a partner or something?
Yeah.
Um, let me look at this for a second.
We gotta get you on Perplexity AI instead of ChatGPT, boy.
Just we'll talk about it. I don't want to hear you right now.
You're so mean to me today.
Let's see here. Let's see. Let me look at this one for a second because I thought it was interesting. Oh yeah. So this is what I did the other day. So I use this. I'm creating a title. If I could start over, here are the 5 AI tools to create apps. Review the following and create like thumbnails based off of these types, right? I
Mhm.
was using this to then put in as a description, and then I would put it in vidIQ to create the thumbnail. Pretty interesting. Pretty
Mhm.
interesting what it came up with. Kind of frightening, the ones I showed you from last week. That one's actually still
The one
performing
that's
pretty
lacking a
well.
tongue.
Yeah, very weird, but it's doing pretty well. This is really good for my live streams that I just don't want to think about thumbnails.
Yeah.
Then it will create different thumbnails for me.
It's
It's
like you
very,
should do thumbnails for live streams, but obviously you don't want to deal with it, kind of thing.
yeah. I just don't want to. Sometimes I'm like the theme, all of those things.
It's like with my shorts. I never wanted to deal with the hashtags or the actual caption. So Opus actually generates the title, a caption in the title. And so
Yep.
I always just use that as the description and title for YouTube shorts. And then I would just put a collection of hashtags that are related to the clip. That's it. And just repeat it. So I get what you're saying. Like sometimes you just need to like automate certain things.
Yeah. So this one right here, it made the top one over there. It made this creepy one over here. Still not horrible for like a couple seconds of me just describing here's what I want, and it's coming up.
Yeah.
So those are
I
my
think
creator ones.
the build with AI thumbnail is funny because like you're using AI and it's just so meta. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I didn't know it was gonna pick out my face like that. It's just weird, and it's like putting me in like a suit. And it's the weirdest position. I don't understand it at all. And that mouth, it's just weird. It like captured the beard, kind of. Anyway,
Hmm.
very weird.
We gotta get you a suit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm not doing that. I'm not dressing up like that. Um, for the most part, these are my creator tools. I have other ones. I'm working on my no code AI trends report that is dropping on Product Hut next week.
Can you scroll a little bit? I want to see those tool pictures with the tablet.
What are you talking about? These?
Okay, it doesn't make any sense for you to be holding a laptop like that.
Yeah, but this one converts really well.
But like, what if you cut off the laptop part?
What do you mean cut off the laptop part?
Just make it a tablet. It makes more sense to be a tablet. Just cut off the laptop.
Why? Why does that even make sense? If you're going to be coding like this, you never code on a tablet. That doesn't make any sense.
Actually, a lot of people code on iPads now.
Who? Coding? Who codes on?
You get a Bluetooth keyboard. Come on now.
Oh, stop. Which is still a keyboard. So you're still using a keyboard to code.
But look how your hand holding it. It doesn't make any sense.
I love that you're upset about that, but the one with the fake AI face that is missing part of my face, you're like, yeah, use that one.
Use that one, yeah. Actually, I was also telling you to use the other one for that one. I did say use the other one, and I like the other one more, but I like how this one's meta, so don't get on to me like that.
Yes, so that is what we're doing right now. Also, too, obviously, I'm working with other creators or different editors to look at this. These are performing well. I just don't like them, really.
Did you drop that one with Noah into Opus yet?
I have to grab a tissue. No, I did not. Hold on a second. Keep talking while I'm going.
You got an issue. I got an issue with you. Why is your video feed only 720p?
Because it's the Sony SV. We already talked about this. Hold on a second.
Folks, I don't know what's going on with Doc today, but I'm sorry you had to deal with this. I guess I can talk about tools that I'm using in the meantime, and I have been messing around with my Obsidian Vault, which for those of you who don't know what that is, Obsidian is the tool that you can use to organize any of your note-taking. Let me just share my screen real quick. And Obsidian is how I keep track of everything I'm doing. And at this point, I changed everything pretty dramatically when it comes to how it looks, how it operates. And I just love how simple and unified the new design is. As you can see here, I have my content planning system out here. I keep track of all the stuff there.
I'm back.
Good riddance.
Were you filling in for me? What were you doing?
Yes. I was showing off my new Obsidian theme.
And I'm not good enough? I can't see it? I didn't want to see it.
I
didn't want to see it anyway.
You'll see it next time.
It's not important.
Last time it was all red, and I just don't really care for how the red was looking. And I also found a new theme that organizes the different little windows, I guess you could say, in a much more cleaner way. And it allows me to hide certain parts of the features. I can hide the top bar. I can hide the bottom bar. I can even hide the sidebar, which most of those I don't even use. The sidebar, the ribbon as it's called, has a whole bunch of shortcuts, but I was able to just replace those shortcuts in an area that has to stick around anyways. And so now I can just hide that bar and turn it off completely.
Interesting.
So it basically takes up less space now. And so I can see what's actually in the middle, the more important stuff more. That makes sense.
I love it. All right. So we're going to go more tools. Do you want to go deep dive? Do you want to talk about stats and all these things? What do you want?
Well, I was sharing what tools I was using, basically just Obsidian. At this point, I'm not 100% sure where we should take this. I want to make sure people get a good angle out of this episode, but
I mean, I can talk about the full tech stack that I'm using for my business and everything. And
we can go into that a little bit.
All right. So this year, obviously, we're testing tons of software all the time, going through this. Right now, my goal is to examine what tech is essential and what is in a pile of testing or just like phasing out of the business. So what are we looking at right here? I break it up into what am I doing for like home base? What am I doing for email marketing or lead captures? What am I going to then do for emails and sending everything out? So I enjoy Notion a great deal.
But
well, I still need to blog more. So what should I really do? Should I try to do WordPress and go the SEO game? Or do I just want to go with something that I naturally enjoy using and then I can just scale on top of that? And that brings me to getting basically a wrapper for Notion. And what I mean by that is you have Super and other ones that have come out. There's tons.
Remember, I tried doing this and it was not good.
Yeah, but you live a different kind of life than me. So if
Which
I
is why we made this show, because we get along with so well. Yeah.
uh, I think I'm testing, I don't know. Either I'm going to use Build Fast
Hmm.
and debating on this, just
They built
something.
this in Framer, I think.
I'm not, what, the main page?
I
Or
think
the,
so. It
I'm
looks like
not,
it's in Framer.
I don't see it with Wappleizer doesn't have it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Um, it kind of just, I need to see what it does. I need to see what it does. But again, to me, I'm like, what can I start using more of? Because I know what I
Ghost.
enjoy using.
Sorry.
No. Because you know what the thing is? I just don't get excited using Ghost. I've thought about this, and this is where I'm like, comfort over, like, yeah, just comfort.
Features
I
and
just want,
speed.
yeah, like if there's something that I can move fast and it's a format that I just enjoy using, I'm going to use it more. That's like any other tool, right?
It was nice whenever I got into Ghost. Someone had a demo out, and for surprisingly, Ghost doesn't have one. But someone had a demo where you could actually play around in the back end of Ghost. That's what I really wanted to feel, is feel
Mhm.
it out. But
I
there's
would.
also Blog Hunch. You should look up Blog Hunch.
Let
We
me
haven't
take a
talked about it
look.
in a long time.
I'll take a look at it. And so this goes number one.
Hmm.
I'm going back to ConvertKit because SendFox, SendFox, I almost think is the perfect product for a busy solo creator that does not want to focus on email. I like SendFox features so much, including where it will aggregately pull all of your content. So all you have to do, it pulls it into a draft and you just have to say send. So if you're doing tweets, you can set it up for your tweets, for LinkedIn, for YouTube, whatever you want to do, the combination, it will automatically pull whenever there's a new post. At the end of the week, it will say, you have a draft, send it out to your subscribers. I love that feature so much. I do not know why other platforms don't use this, like ConvertKit and others, but that one feature saves you so much time in thinking. And with creators that I need to help them to just capture emails and just have a presence outside of social media,
Most of them just
SendFox
go to
is my
Beehive
favorite.
now, though.
Beehive, but there's
I don't.
multiple reasons why I'm not going to support Beehive. There are a myriad of reasons why I'm not
Interesting.
supporting them.
Interesting.
I
I
like
just didn't
the
like their
concept,
UX.
yeah, of one of many things. They're trying to be now the all-in-one, and they're trying to beat SendFox at its own game without the soul. So with more VC money, and their best strategy is to just copy what SendFox is doing at a lower price. No, excuse me,
Mm.
what ConvertKit, or excuse me, Kit.com is doing. Don't even get me started on the branding change.
Well, I think it's also because they bought Kit.co too.
When are they ever going to do anything with it? Like, what are they doing with this
I've
thing?
been asking them 3 times this year, like, "Hey, when are you guys going to merge this?" Because I'm tired of jumping back and forth, and
Yeah,
I don't even use Kit.com. But Kit.co is something I've been using since I became a content creator.
yeah,
Because I had a whole bunch of kits that I was like, "Hey, I can have affiliate links set up with this."
yeah. To be continued. And then my other one, which is my bread and butter, which makes pretty much all of my money when it comes to digital downloads. It's still a very underrated tool. Paperform is still my go-to to create all my lead magnets, to collect all of the money for digital products. It's really simple. I do so little maintenance on this, but it has made me the most money out of the years. Excuse me. I think I'm going to do a video on it coming up. What it has done for the business, but
I,
Paperform, that's another one.
I spent a lot of time in the early days looking at email marketing tools, and there was a few of them out there that I really like. I think Email Octopus was kind of cool. There
Oh
was
yeah,
another one. Oh crap, what was it? Send something, not send Fox, but send something. But I got some tools I'll share with you
there is
here.
SendFox. Yeah, there's a Meat Fox. There's too many. There was this Fox
So back
Invasion.
one of the first like lifetime deals I ever got with this Automizy, and it's still kicking. I guess it's not really doing anything different, but you see how
Yeah,
you could like make some really interesting chains here.
that's
They were one of
interesting.
the first ones who did this like automation chain for emails,
I like it.
and I really wanted to make a big old tree. Like I have multiple niches, so I figured, hey, the first 3 emails would be the same, and then like you just kind of go on onboarding, and then
Yeah,
in the last email you would be like, hey, which of these topics are you interested in or most interested in? You had a choice. and it would just basically put you into these different tiers, and then it would like end that first campaign, and then you would just start the campaign for each of the niches. I thought that was pretty cool.
I like that. I like that.
I need to start messing with this because I haven't touched it in ages. Now, Blog Hunch is the tool that's probably interested me the most when it came to like a CMS, because you could do a whole bunch of products too. And so like you could do online courses, ebooks, you could do a newsletter and blog. And the fact that they had all of these built in one, I like how they don't have a landing page for it. Dang it. But you get like all these different like ways of structuring it. I thought that was really neat. So
I
they
like
basically
it.
built the ebook and course feature, and yeah, and they had a couple lifetime deals. I just couldn't afford it at the time. And then finally, let's get to Poly Tools. If you're watching this channel, you know it exists, but if you don't know it exists, I wanted to show you. This is a website I created to find all the different tools over the years. And since we're here, Doc, we can look at the blog and CMS.
Let's do
Remember,
it.
I have a category here. If you want to look through and just see what's out there, I found all these different types of CMSs, and I just wanted to show you what else is out there besides Ghost and Notion.
A shameless plug, but I love it.
Well, I also want you to have more power than what those Notion tools can give you.
And this kind of goes, but you know what? This is so funny that you mentioned this. So I'm rereading the book Range. It's a great book. It's a great book. And it was a part about Nintendo. And I really liked the part that Nintendo thrived by using a term they called withering technology. And when other platforms or other companies were at the cutting edge, the way that they basically ran the market was they would use old technology that they could repurpose, that everyone knew how to use, so they could offer something that was cheap, but something that was totally unique and a way for them to move faster. And that made me really think about the tech that I'm using, the workflow that I want, because there are tons of these businesses that are like dinosaurs, and I do not want to be like them. But it does speak to having the basics or having a streamlined approach. You can still accomplish quite a bit, quite a bit. And so I think it's the technology that you're comfortable with, how fast you can move. I'll go one last thing. I have a friend of mine who uses, have you ever heard of something called Sony Vegas for editing, right?
Mm-hmm.
He uses Sony Vegas like 7. Like it's so like it's like maybe 8 years, 9 years old, but he can edit faster and get the quality that he wants faster than anyone on CapCut. And that's because he has the tools that he prefers, even though I judge him about what he's using. It's got to be that balancing point of what works for you, what really helps you with your business. And I think going to Product Hunt, constantly doing tech reviews, sometimes I'm in that spiral too much of doing all of, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. When it's like, wait a minute, but what am I trying to do? I'm trying to sell digital downloads. What can I do to do that? Are my customers like having a bad experience?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? And focusing on that, because sometimes it's like I'm repairing my house or tearing down my house so many times to rebuild it with these tools. And as you know, some of these startups, some go away, some pivot, some get acquired.
Automize is still around, but it hasn't made any updates for like half a decade.
Yeah. Or my Coda, I never liked Coda, but Coda being acquired by Grammarly, which is just very funny to me. That's a lateral. I don't even get that, but whatever.
It is kind of a note-taking tool, so I guess.
Yeah. I'm like, but yeah, I guess it's like Grammarly had maybe. Are they saying like people don't use the Grammarly notes or use I don't know. It's very interesting.
I will just to retort on the Nintendo thing. I've always loved Nintendo, and I always loved their innovation, but they've actually kind of gone on my bad side the last few years. And the fact that they have not released anything since the Switch is a really bad sign. It's been over 5 years since the Switch came out, and it was already outdated when it came out. Not just like dated; it was outdated, pretty bad. It was basically like a tablet from 2013 when they released it in 2017, and now 7 years later, it's still the same thing. And so there is a point of like yes, with the Nintendo DS, they used old parts, but they used a new innovation to do it. The Game Boy was a great example where they used old kind of withering tech to make the Game Boy, and it became a huge success. Right? They wanted to be able to just adapt and be not use as many batteries and be better than the Game Gear or whatever. So they definitely had a lot of like good examples of what you were talking about there. But I feel like lately they've been really bad about not really taking advantage of the technology at the time. Like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom should not be running at less than 30 FPS because of like the tech. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a whole other thing too because the team has changed, and then they talk about the foil of like the main guy that created the first NES and everything like that. They were talking about his failures like VR, the VR headset, and is it VR? No, it wasn't Virtual Boy. Maybe it was.
There was a Virtual Boy, yeah.
Yeah, so they were talking about like he didn't even follow his own principles, and then he got in trouble doing that because he was trying to do too much. But there was all of these different problems with.
And the other thing was with Withering Tech, I feel like Notion to website converters like Super and the one you showed us and all that, that kind of counts towards that Withering Tech, I guess you could say, because it's still kind of old at this point, considering a lot of these tools have been out for years at this point. I just wanted to mention that like WordPress is archaic. Don't touch WordPress. I've been preaching to the choir, especially this last week, because someone was talking about WordPress and it was really funny. It was this older lady who was asking questions in a like podcasting group, and I decided to answer to her. And I say it in the most polite way, like, don't use WordPress, it's archaic. And then she like, oh, what about this website looks archaic to you? All snarkily. And first off, that website looked like it was designed in 2015. And so like, yes, it did look old. And she's like, oh, well, that's the problem for my media person then or something like that. Then why are you asking the questions? My point is, I was a little bit sassy, but my point is,
too sassy.
Bite me. WordPress is not a tool to be used. Stop using it. It is bad. And after the whole drama that went down this year with the founder, I don't think it's a platform people should be using anymore. And Ghost is significantly faster, significantly better designed. The themes need a lot of work, and Ghost Pro is way too expensive, but you can always use an alternative host.
Are you getting paid by them?
No, but I do have them as an affiliate link.
I like it.
But that's the thing, Doc, I've used them since 2019 now. And so, yeah. So they're kind of withering, but they've been updating a lot. They're also consistently updating. I don't think the recent update's really that great, like special comments and I guess a couple other small features, but when they add some big updates, it's pretty interesting. And both of my sites run so freaking well.
So this brings me to another one. With all of these new AI agents, the IDEs, I was thinking about I have a week off, I was going to just do a hackathon and just rebuild my entire tech stack and rebuild personal website, everything, and just use an AI agent to do all of these things. That's an option. Again, I just told you I don't want to rebuild the house, but with this, it keeps changing all these things. My sites are very, in practical ways, it doesn't need a lot of functionality like e-commerce and things like that. I'm debating just rebuilding it, having something super simple, hosting it for practically nothing on Netify or something like that.
There was another one that I showed you a while back. Like you can get a host. You can even do Ghost for like $2 a month or something like that. I gotta.
Yeah, what was that?
It was like some kind of project one. Yeah, I'll have to find it. I think it's on Polytool somewhere, but it was really interesting. Where it's like they had 80 different open source projects, and you could host them, any of them on there, or even combinations of a few or something like that.
I'm gonna have to check that for hosting. Let me check hosting. Where's this hosting? Do you have a hosting category?
For podcasts, but not for web. Just look for like web development or something like that.
Ooh.
I'm not gonna do web hosting. There's too many tools out there for that, like Bluehost and.
I have too many vendettas against those anyway. So that's my main thing. I think I'm gonna probably do that over the next. I'm gonna probably start it tonight. Probably gonna do start with the best time of year. This is the best time of year. Because people go into hibernation, they're like, "I'm gonna get ready for January." This is where I pump out the most. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So
I
all
need
week I'm going to be doing this. Yeah,
I
I love
think
it.
next week we should talk about my blitz more because I think it's both been a success and a failure at this point. And so we'll kind of
Ooh.
foreshadow that because yeah, I mean, there's been some things that I've been doing really well with, and then some things that is, yeah, I need to probably go into next year doing still the blitz. There's something I want to end on here, and I think it's really interesting because you talked about withering tech and going back to what works. And so I had left Notion for Obsidian last year, then went to Capacities, then went to Acrium, which is really interesting, but ended up being really bad, like performance wise, and almost losing my data twice wise. Um, and so I went back to Obsidian because Obsidian was the one that worked the most, not for content, but for everything else. And so for the 5 use cases I needed, it did 4 out of 5. And I was like, okay. But I found this interesting device recently, and it is a smart assistant that's open source. So like think of like a Google Nest or an, Amazon Alexa, right? Tiny little box with a smart speaker basically, and you can basically run it locally or in the cloud, and it's only $60 like most of the speakers. And the cool thing is about the local parts. You can get like a Olama, like a local LLM, hosted on a computer. I have a computer the size of this like freaking drive, right? Hell, my main PC is only slightly bigger than that one, anyways. So I thought about getting my little Intel compute stick, putting a very light LLM on it, or maybe using a bigger computer if I have to, and connecting it with the smart speaker, using Obsidian as my like vault of data, and then put like Zoran OS on the little device, and basically have a Linux-based LLM with Obsidian as the note vault, and then use this smart speaker and basically create my own Jarvis out of this. That was kind of the idea behind going to Obsidian in the first place because there's a whole bunch of LLMs in Obsidian, like AI plugins. It's a lot here. I know I'm jumping a lot on this on you and the audience here, but I thought it was a really fascinating idea. Basically, come up with my own little Jarvis. This would be a great little cheap way of getting the tech I needed for the communication.
I like it. I like it. What was it? Zorn? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?
Zoran OS.
Just
I'll bring it
start
up.
dropping all these things in the chat or put it in Twitter. This is the thing. When I heard that, I like it. I
Zoran
like
OS. Oh, sorry. Continue.
so what you're saying right here.
You don't have to use Zoran. I just want to use Zoran because I want to go full on like Iron Man mode.
Yeah. So to me, I think that's great content for your channel. And I
I thought
even
so
like
too.
how you were saying like this is Jarvis or something like that. I think that has a lot of appeal. I can see a lot of value in what you're doing right there. I just want to comment on that. I think it's a great idea. I worry about you going down a rabbit hole doing
That's all.
this.
I've already gone down these rabbit holes before, so
Then I
now I'm just
want
putting everything
constraints
together.
in you to do it by like January 14th. And stop just pissing
No,
around.
I'm doing my, I'm not pissing around. I'm doing my sprint blitz right now, anyways. But
Oh,
Zoran OS is really cool because it's basically, you can see here, it looks kind of like Windows, right?
yeah.
But it's a lot cleaner, and there's actually multiple different views. You can't really quite see it on here, so I'm frustrated. But there's like a Mac OS view right here where you have a little dock in the middle, and then you have like an Ubuntu view. So if you buy the Zoran Pro, which does cost like $40, but you could also go for free and get like 3 free views too. There's like 8 views. There's like Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 11, Ubuntu, Mac. And so you have like all these different views you can do. So you can make it look how you like. You can modify it too. So I'm thinking I can make this like the sci-fi futuristic UI. Like, hold on.
Do people so
Like imagine something like this where you have all this sci-fi UI.
yeah,
You just modify this to look like it.
that's funny.
And then, yeah. I just thought that'd be
So
sick.
who's using this? Who's using this?
It is one of the like more well-known Linux distros, and it's one of the prettier ones too.
What's the benefit? Is it making it just faster? Why do people use this?
It is pretty fast. It's also very light too. So if you have a very weak computer, let's say you have an old Windows 7 or Windows 10 laptop, Windows 8 laptop, and you need to give it another fresh breath of life,
Yeah.
you can get the light version of Zorin and put it on there, and it'll help extend the lifespan of that laptop farther. So if you have like dated hardware, it's a great way of just keeping that hardware alive.
This is interesting to me. This is
Yeah.
interesting.
It's the only Linux that's ever really got my attention. I never liked Ubuntu, Mint, and all these other Linux distros. If people are curious, like go look them up. There is Elementary OS, but it doesn't seem like it's been getting updated nearly as much as Zorin. So
Interesting. What is this? We'll talk about it later.
Well, what? No, ask. We have a few more minutes. Ask a question.
I don't know why I'm getting a feed of everyone building gingerbread houses. Like, oh, now
I've only seen a few, but yeah.
I was like, what is
Hey,
this?
have you heard about what happened with Brett Cooper?
No, I don't know anything about this. Do I know who Brett Cooper is?
Presumably she's a pretty famous conservative content creator, and like while I don't think either one of us really cares that much about politics per se, we're kind of like just neutral. We want to make our content, make our business. That's all that really matters to us.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I don't generally follow a lot of political content creators. In fact, I've blocked a lot of like political figures on Twitter, so I don't keep that toxicity in my life. Brett Cooper, though, she's a pretty famous conservative creator. She worked for a pretty big media company, and she had her show that built up quite a bit. And then all of a sudden, they basically kind of like blacklisted her, fired her, replaced her with her best friend, who was also the producer of the show. They paid the best friend to go get acting classes to mimic Brett's mannerisms so that way she could replace her as the host. And then they basically outed Brett Cooper. And so now she's like starting a new channel on her own. She was, she was a pretty huge creator through that company. But now that she lost access to that channel and that following, she has to basically start over. She did have like her own Instagram at least, I think. And her new YouTube channel already has like 90,000 or something like that.
Oh, I think I just looked at it. I mean, she
but
doesn't even put out a video. She's at 454,000.
Okay, well, I think she was like in the millions before or something like that.
Oh,
so like
really?
she was pretty big or something huge. I don't remember what the last channel was, but like it was big.
Oh, interesting.
And the thing is, now she's like having to start over, and it's just a fascinating concept to like think about. Like, obviously, you shouldn't sell your soul to the devil when it comes to like having a big media corporation. I learned that pretty early on from some of the other big creators from Vine. There was a lot of Vine creators who had that issue where they went through some kind of media group and stuff like that, and then they got screwed over.
Yeah.
And so I learned my lesson pretty quickly on that. But it's interesting to see this happen to another big creator now, and it's interesting seeing the support she's getting. And even as like, I would consider myself a non-conservative or non-liberal even at this point, right? I don't agree with what content she says. As a content creator, I support her, and I'm like, hey, like,
so let me
do you, girl, do you?
So the question is, so she got fired. Her entire entity or brand was built on another brand, correct?
Yeah, well, it's still kind of like, it was kind of like her name, I think, at that point, or her face. But it was kind of like, how in the early 2000s, you had a lot of like TV hosts that they had their own show. They had their own, like their face, their name, and their show was owned by the company. And that's like, after 2012, that didn't happen as much.
Hold on.
And then you're good. Well, we got to wrap up anyway. So thank you all for being here, folks. And I think we're going to have a great time next week. I hope you have a happy holidays and goodbye.